If you have just joined us, welcome to City Sightseeing Bournemouth and to your tour of Poole Bay and Sandbanks. Please remain seated when the bus is moving and ring the bell if you wish to get off. If you have any questions, please do feel free to ask your driver, but only when the bus has stopped. The journey back to Bournemouth takes about half an hour and finishes back at Bournemouth Pier. As we set off, to our right we pass the Fish King and the old lifeboat station and museum. Across the water we can also see Branksome Island and Sandbanks in the distance. We are now taking a route around Beta Park. The roads we are travelling on include Newfoundland Drive and Labrador Drive, referencing the strong links with the Canadian fisheries. In 1497, a John Cabot was given letters by the king to go and seek a western route to Asia. What he found instead was Newfoundland, where the waters were so teeming with fish, the boats were impeded. The discovery more than 500 years ago resulted in great prosperity for the town of Poole, whose fleet over time would grow to more than 300 vessels. Often, vessels would spend 2 summers and 1 winter in Newfoundland, and large numbers of people from Poole settled there, and it is said that the true Dorset dialect lasted much longer in the remote North American colony than it did here. If you follow the Harbourside Walk, you will see the remains of the Powder House, purpose-built store for gunpowder. After there was a fire on Poole Quay, very close to a warehouse storing gunpowder, it was decided that the risk was too great for the town and that gunpowder should be stored away from the quayside. In 1775, a building was constructed on the shoreline at Beta. With only a small door and 1 small window, the walls were 2 foot thick and the roof was of a light construction, so if there was ever an explosion, it would be contained within the walls and only the roof would be blown off. Fortunately, its design was never tested. Across Beta Park on our right was a small island, joined to the town by a causeway that had an isolation hospital on it, a place where people with contagious diseases such as smallpox would come and be treated. In reality, for many, it was the place where their days ended. Nearby was also the site where victims of the Black Death were buried. The plague is understood to have reached these shores from continental Europe in 1348 through the port of Weymouth in West Dorset. Once infected, people would not become ill for 5 or 6 days, giving them the opportunity to spread the disease throughout the community. Death occurred in 60% of cases, and England's population shrunk by between 1/3 and 1/2. Whilst the plague still exists in some parts of the world, it is now easily treatable and no longer poses such a threat. We cannot leave the shore of Poole Harbour without mentioning the flying boats that were once a common sight on the water. As aviation began to take off in the beginning of the 20th century, the south coast began to see many air pageants and air races. In days where airstrips were rare, planes would take off and land on any piece of suitable flat land. Indeed, in 1910, Charles Rolls, who started the Rolls-Royce company, was the first Briton to be killed in a powered flight accident when his plane crashed on such a piece of land at Hengistbury Head, to the east of Bournemouth. During the 1930s, large flying boats were developed that would open up new routes to destinations without adequate facilities to land a conventional plane. Poole became an important centre for the starting off point from the UK to destinations around the world, including the USA and Canada, India and Burma, Hong Kong, Singapore, and even Australia. Throughout the war and until 1948, the British Overseas Airways Corporation, which was to eventually become British Airways, had 600 staff based in Poole to support their flying boat services. 24 passenger flying boats based in the harbour. Pie factory was opened in 1937 and grew into one of the biggest pie and sausage roll producers in the country. Pigs would arrive and go into one end of the factory, and pies and sausage rolls would come out of the other end. It was said the only part of the pig they didn't use was the squeal. Poole Hospital to your left is the main hospital for the area, with a busy accident and emergency department and specialist maternity suite. Every year, an average of 3,800 babies are born in the hospital. That's just over 10 a day, but it can be up to 20. Bournemouth Hospital does also have a maternity suite that often deals with all Bournemouth babies that are early or experiencing complications during delivery. One benefit of a stay in Poole Hospital is the fine views many of the wards have over Poole Harbour. Sits in the county of Dorset. It is run by Dorset County Council, based at County Hall in Dorchester. A few lesser known facts about Dorset. The county of Dorset stretches from Christchurch in the east to Lyme Regis in the west, and then up to Sherborne and Gillingham in the north, not to be confused with the identically spelt Gillingham in Kent. It covers an area of about 100 square miles or 2,500 square kilometres. The county has 8 members of parliament, all are Conservative. The county has a population of about 750,000 people, of which approximately half live in Bournemouth and Poole. The Celtic name for Dorsetshire apparently means the place of fisticuffs. The Dorset Naga is grown in Dorset and is said to be the hottest chili in the world. It has an average score of 923,000 Scoville heat units. The first fossil shop in Britain was opened in Lyme Regis in 1826. It was run by Mary Anning, whose family found fossils from the cliffs to sell to tourists. Mary became an expert in the field, but couldn't join the Geological Society because she was a woman. As we make our way towards Bournemouth, we pass through Parkstone. There are 2 parts to this area. Upper Parkstone at the top of the hill, and Lower Parkstone, which is much closer to sea level. We'll be travelling through Lower Parkstone. The area at the centre of the village is called Ashley Cross. During the daytime, it is relaxing with its lush green park and water fountains. At night time, it comes alive with its good mix of bars and restaurants around the edges. This area is another one of these sought-after parts of Poole, along with sandbanks, lilliputs and Campbell Cliffs. But up until the 1920s and 30s, much of this area was agricultural land. Until the late 19th century, the area was mainly unbuilt heath and woodlands. With the development and growth of nearby Bournemouth, the area became popular as a place to live. With the development of the railways, Branksome continued to grow, served by the new Victorian line between Wimborne, Poole and Bournemouth. Branksome railway station, which still serves the area today, helped encourage a massive growth in the early 20th century. The area became an official suburb of Poole in the 1960s, and by the 1980s almost all open areas of Branksome were built upon. One notable resident of Branksome was Lord Ventry, the airship pioneer. To County Gates, marking the old county boundary of Dorset and Hampshire. The large building in the centre of the roundabout is the headquarters of LV, formerly Liverpool Victoria. As a mutual society, LV has no shareholders and is owned by its members, who are all the policyholders of Liverpool Victoria Friendly Society Limited. Previous to LV, the building was home to Frizzell Insurance, and the roundabout is still to this day known locally to many as Frizzell Roundabout. There are a number of other large insurance and finance companies based in Bournemouth, the most notably being JP Morgan Chase, the American bank. Their large campus is located just as you come into Bournemouth and is home to more than 4,000 employees. Bournemouth is seen as a good place to set up business. One of the key benefits is that when recruiting regionally, nationally or even internationally, it is seen as being a great place to come and live for prospective employees. Passing through Westbourne, notice that most of the retailers here are independent shops, bucking the national trend for homogenised high streets. An affluent area, many of the shops offer a superior range of luxury goods to suit the local clientele. To your right is the glass-roofed Westbourne Arcade, which hosts, amongst other things, a private cinema. To your left, spot the Tesco's local, hidden in an old church. Look at the impressive facade of the bingo hall, once the Grand Cinema.
Airport, a few miles to the north, has one of the longest runways in the south of England and often welcomed the Concorde. The airport opened in 1941 as RAF home, and as part of its wartime duties was home to a range of aircraft, including Spitfires, Wellingtons and Typhoons. Towards the end of 1942, it became a base for a number of American squadrons. Some facts and figures about Bournemouth, its residents and its visitors. The population of Bournemouth is approximately 162,500. Bournemouth has 5.5 million visitors a year. The value of tourism to the town is £480 million a year, and it supports 16,500 jobs. A total of 53,000 foreign students visit Bournemouth each year, studying at 34 recognised language schools. The Littledown Centre is the most successful leisure facility in the south of England, with approximately 1.5 million visits a year.
The area known as the Triangle is just a 5-minute walk to the seafront via Commercial Road and is the hub of the Bournemouth gay scene. It is a vibrant part of town full of bars, restaurants, cafes and various shops. Every year during the summer, Bourne Free, which is Bournemouth's Pride March, takes place around here, along with other events focusing on the arts and culture. The main Triangle area is also home to the Bournemouth Central Library, which opened in 2003 at a cost of £9.5 million. In the British Construction Industry Awards competition, it won the Prime Minister's Better Public Building Award. As we return to the centre of Bournemouth, we pass two of the newest developments in town. To your right, the Hilton Hotel, and ahead, the BH2 Entertainment Complex. Both were built on underused car parks and are part of a programme by the local council to improve the town centre, unlocking economic value from underutilised assets. About 10 car parks are set to be developed, bringing many hundreds of new residential properties into the town centre. The two traditional Bournemouth industries of finance and tourism are going strong, but there is also a huge growth in the media and creative industries. Bournemouth University has in many ways acted as a catalyst for this, producing graduates who have gone on to take lead roles in a number of Oscar-winning films. The National Centre for Computer Animation continues to produce amazing talent, but not all of it leaves the town, and it was recently highlighted as having one of the healthiest tech economies in the UK. Bournemouth Town Centre has a number of very large churches, which provides church capacity for the high levels of summer visitors. With falling congregations, some of these buildings have found new uses. At the end of Westover Road, you will see St Peter's Church, which is one of the largest in the town, and today still has an active congregation. The church has many famous connections, including Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, who was buried here in the family vault. We are now nearing the end of the tour as we come back to Bournemouth Pier. We hope you have enjoyed your tour today and thank you for travelling with City Sightseeing Bournemouth. Please make sure you take all of your belongings with you and hold on to your ticket, as it entitles you to 10% off any other City Sightseeing tour in more than 100 destinations around the world. Our sister operation, Discover Dorset Tours, offers regular full and half-day tours to the Jurassic Coast, Lulworth Cove and Durdle Door, the Isle of Wight, Stonehenge and a number of other local and regional destinations. Please ask your driver today if you would like more information or pick up a free leaflet from the lower deck. Thanks again for travelling with us and we wish you a safe and pleasant stay in Bournemouth.
Judy said the next one, Judy. Thank you, Angle.
Bye.
Bye. Now wait an hour for the next bus. Yeah. Judy said. Thank you, Angle. Bye. Got to wait for the next bus to get on that one. And apparently, I think it is Judy said the next one. Yes. You're saying charge GP Zach.